The Niners are rolling. 8 in a row. Best defense in the league, and now the offense is right there with it, like 30 points plus routinely because of Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. But what's funny about the Niners is they still got Kyle's baggage. Like this is a long time in the making for him. He had an even better offense in Atlanta and smoked it. He had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter 3 years ago against Kansas City and smoked it. He had a 10-point lead last year. So to me, Kyle has some emotional, mental demons that the Niners have to overcome. And he has to do something different this year to cross the finish line as the champion. What do you think that difference is that the Niners need from Kyle?
Well, I mean, he needs, I think he kind of referenced it the other last week when he said, Brock Purdy allows me to call the game the way it needs to be called. Or
there you go.
Like I forget the exact quote, Grant, but it was like something like he plays the way, he plays it. I don't forget exactly what he said, but he
essentially said he allows me to call the game the way I want to call it, not the way I need to call it for his limitations, right?
Right. Like this is the only quarterback I've had that has no limitations.
Yes.
Like that's what he was saying.
Yes.
It comes across as a compliment to him, but it also comes across as a brutal truth on the other guys. So it's a very interesting comment. I think Kyle Shanahan is a truth teller at his core, and he lets little bits of truth come out, even if they're hard to hear for some people.
Yeah.
So I think he was being truthful there. I think he really has a lot of confidence in Brock because I think the ball comes out on time, and he's always talking about how Brock does a good job taking care of the football. Now he's had some easy picks that were dropped, and he's had some lucky breaks for sure. But he also, I'll tell you the one thing with Purdy that's interesting is that I can see Shanahan liking is that when Shanahan calls his play action game with Purdy under center, and he turns his back on the defense. And then sometimes he turns back around, and even if he's being pressured right there in his face, he can still at the same time elude the rush with quickness. But then it's uncanny how quickly he's on his receiver's route. Like he's like throwing it as he's getting open. He knows where the route is. Where Jimmy, if he got away from the defender at all, would then have to kind of relook at the field and see where all the receivers were and then throw it. This guy, Brock can literally do the escape and throw and release to the receiver, in one motion. I think Shanahan sees that, and it opens up so much.
Yeah. To me, like what held the Niners back 3 years ago, that was a great team they had in 2019. And Kyle still says it was the best team in the league. But what happened was, Jimmy Garoppolo was playing well in the regular season. He made big throws down the field to win games that they had to win. And then all of a sudden they got in their first game against Minnesota, and Jimmy threw a couple of questionable passes, and Kyle shut him down for 2 games to the point where he practically embarrassed him in the NFC Championship game, calling 8 passes. And then they go to the Super Bowl, and they're like, hey, Jimmy, we need you to make this throw to win the game. Like, nah, man, you just castrated this man for 2 straight – sorry, but that's what you did. You castrated him for 2 straight weeks, and then you say, hey, man, hit this throw. That's not going to happen. Can't do that. You got to trust Brock. You never trusted Jimmy, and Jimmy played like you didn't trust him. Empower Brock. One of the great things that Andy Reid does for Patrick Mahomes, he's always trusted Patrick Mahomes. And one of the nice things about Brock and Kyle right now is it seems like Brock is bringing out the best in Kyle Shanahan. I always felt like Jimmy brought out the worst in him, brought out his conservative nature, brought out this run-first weird person that was not coaching in Atlanta. When the Niners hired Kyle, they didn't think they were getting this run-first conservative coach, but that's what he became because of Jimmy. Now that Brock's here, all of a sudden it feels like Atlanta all over again. Keep it going, Kyle. Don't all of a sudden lose your trust and your nerve because he's a rookie or because it's high stakes, because so far you're the one that blinks. Don't blink. Trust your guys. If you trust Brock, you just might pull it off. Also, run the damn ball with a freaking lead in the fourth quarter, Kyle.
I'll tell you, the thing that I'm most excited about with Brock is that he has unlocked Kittle as a receiver. I mean, I've never seen Kittle look this good. Kittle can be Kelsey, but
Yep.
you got to have a quarterback who can throw with accuracy down the seams.
Yep.
And this guy, and that's loft it over the linebacker in front of the
Yep.
safety and
Yep.
throw that pass with accuracy. And you got to see it and you got to lead the guy. I mean, Kittle's never looked better. I mean, I know Kittle loves Jimmy and
I agree.
this and that, but I mean,
I agree.
if Kittle knows what's best for him, he should love Brock because Brock is what's best for him.
Doesn't it almost feel like Kittle was doing all this I love Jimmy stuff to like butter up the starting quarterback to get the ball? But now that Brock's the quarterback and feeding him the ball, it's like, man, maybe you should just jump on the Brock bandwagon because he's going to get you paid again. He's going to get you your third contract, George.
You ought to call Brock. Kittle ought to call Brock renovation because he's going to be doing renovations on his home, adding another floor because of Brock.
Brock just gentrified George Kittle's entire career.
George is going to be trading in those sunglasses for what's a nice pair of sunglasses. He's selling the cheap ones.
Some Ray-Bans.
Yeah, seriously, it might be time to step it up.